Yeah, thank you, Ben. Good that you mentioned that this is being recorded from a data privacy point of view. That's of course very important to mention. This is not a technical session. Basically, I'm going to tell you a bit about something that is also part of working with data, is to think about, okay, how is privacy being managed, and am I actually doing the right things with that data? Let's go to the next slide, if that works. Very short, just to understand where I come from. I've worked with data in every shape and sizes. I've been a DBA, I've been data engineering, I've been doing data science. If it has data in it, I've probably done it. And the last couple of years, I've been mostly focused on making sure that if you are working with data, you're doing it in a privacy-friendly manner, but also in a manner that is friendly to the people you are working on, especially from a data science point of view. Like I said, I've worked a lot with data scientists and built my own models as well. So from that expertise and from that area, I got more interested in data privacy because I was in a project from which I, as being the technical guy, felt uncomfortable working with people's data. So this was actually a machine learning model they were building and training, which was very complex, but what kind of was going to predict people's behavior in a way that I thought was unethical. I told them about that. I quit the project. They're actually still running, so maybe I didn't make that big impression that I hope I did. But you, as people who are visiting this online conference and are in this session, you are also people that work with data every day. So what my main goal of this session would be is to hopefully trigger you to sometimes ask questions if the things you're doing with the data, if they are appropriate, if they are friendly for the people who make up that data. Because as a technical person, it's of course very easy to see the data as not being a person. But in many cases, if you process privacy-sensitive data or personal information, there are actually real people that are connected to the data. And what an algorithm generates or what you're doing with the data can actually influence the lives of those people. And that's becoming more and more important every day as we're working more and more with data. So I'm going to go through a couple of examples just to give you some ideas how some big companies work with data, what they do that isn't necessarily privacy friendly or maybe even a little bit unethical, just to give you an idea, and that will work to what I think could possibly be a solution. If you followed the news a couple of years ago, this is the logo of a company called Cambridge Analytica. And what Cambridge Analytica basically did is they were one of the first, companies in the news that were found influencing people's behavior based on their online social data. So they used Facebook data to micro-target specific people. So from a marketing perspective, this is like a dream come true because marketing usually works with, putting people in boxes and then focusing on how to influence that box. Cambridge Analytica did that on a personal level based on the data they were sharing on their Facebook stream. So Cambridge Analytica doesn't exist anymore, but they have been linked with influencing the results of the American election, but also influencing the results of the Brexit deal and stuff like that. Another very easy target is Google. If you know Google for a long time, you know their company slogan used to be "Don't be evil." Google is actually one of the companies that made data collection about personal data into an art form. So everyone is kind of following the examples that Google is setting, because Google is no longer, they make money from selling ads and targeting the ads to the correct people, but they are actually actively selling our behavioral data. And the way they do that is that you get all the free apps like the the Google Gmail, you get the Maps, you get all those kinds of things from Google for free. But by accepting their privacy policy, you are accepting that they're using your data to create a kind of virtual model of you and predict what you are going to do. And things are getting very scary very quickly because Google has done some interesting, they bought some interesting companies like Nest, who makes smart home appliances and thermostats for homes. Why would Google want to buy that? Because it's, of course, another source of behavioral data. They will probably know and enrich their own data by changing the temperature in your home. That could possibly be a sign. They also do things, for instance, for YouTube, like watching what kind of videos you do, etc., etc. So Google kind of created it into an art form and is very active in selling your behavioral data. So whether you like it or not, basically your data is for sale. No matter what you do, if it's a service like, you use Google search, you need to understand that your data is going to be used to enrich your own virtual model of you and sell that virtual data to interested companies that want to know how to make sure that if they push the right buttons, that you are going to buy their product or service, for instance. This is already getting quite scary very quickly. And I usually kind of like compare it that we're slowly moving to the scenario of the movie Minority Report of Tom Cruise, where basically technology in the future makes it possible for cops to catch criminals before a crime is committed, because an algorithm told them that someone is probably going to do a crime. This may still seem like this is far-fetched, but this is actually where a lot of organizations are actively working on right now. So this can be quite scary very quickly. Another thing, just to stay on the Tom Cruise topic, is I'm going to share this very short video of with you of the Avengers. But there is one little thing different with this video, is that there wasn't Robert Downey Jr. that played Iron Man, but that was actually Tom Cruise. So this is just an example how deep fakes are becoming more and more impressive in the way they can change the people, that you can completely change someone's face inside a video or inside a picture and making it very difficult to detect. They can now also, through machine learning, replicate voice, for instance. So it's becoming more and more difficult to see what's real and what's not. So how do you fix that from a perspective? So how do we make sure that those companies and maybe your company or other companies are doing unethical or manipulative things with your data? So what we have in Europe is we have the GDPR that is focused on protecting our data privacy. But this is not going to be the answer. Even though more and more laws are slowly appearing across the world, what you see is that the people who actually build those laws are too slow. So when a law is proposed and before it is being accepted as a law, that can take many years. And in the meantime, the technology would be light years different because it evolves way too quick. You can also do all kinds of other things with the law, but there is also a lot of lobbying from those huge companies like Google, like Microsoft, like Facebook, to avoid getting them to shut down their data collection. So it is also it's becoming more and more difficult to put laws inside this area, even though there are laws, and also because they are very difficult to upkeep. If you don't have the technological knowledge about them, it's very difficult to design a law to protect that. So what I should think, and this is where this session is all about, I've given you some examples, but from my point of perspective, everyone should be more privacy-minded in understanding what are companies doing with my data, and especially as people working with the data, ask yourself the question, if I'm working with the data right now, am I doing the right thing? And is this ethically a good thing to do? Am I not violating someone's behavior of their privacy? This was just 10 minutes. If you want to see some more information about the topic, about data privacy and manipulation, there are 2 very good documentaries on Netflix that are listed here. The Great Hack about Cambridge Analytica and The Social Dilemma. And there are also a number of books written about the topic. And the last one by Kathy O'Neill, Weapons of Mass Destruction, is also very interesting because she was a data scientist that actually also had to work with algorithms that were not necessarily user-friendly in a sense for privacy protection and stuff like that. So this was a very quick 10 minutes. Normally I like to talk for hours about this, but I think we got it.